This is a continuation of the story Joseph the Dreamer, and it goes on to talk about what happens to Joseph and his family as he confronts his brothers and what they kind of done to him. So, if you want to go back and listen to Joseph the Dreamer to get a little of the background story, that might help you understand what's going on in this. Now, this is found in Genesis chapter 41, 53 through 57, and 42 through 46. Those are the verses. So, this is the story of Joseph and his brothers. Okay, so the continuation. Joseph had been right about the meaning of Pharaoh's dream. The next 7 years were fat cows, wheat and barley sprung like magic from the land. The storage rooms soon were filled with grain. More storage rooms were built. Then came the skinny cows, the hot, dry weather. Water became scarce, and plants withered and died. The 7 years of famine had begun. It was time to open the storehouses. Every day people came from all over Egypt, and from other countries as well, to buy the grain that would keep them from starving. They had to come to Joseph, who was in charge of selling the grain. One day 10 men walked into the storeroom. Joseph knew right away who they were. His brothers. The brothers didn't know that this handsome man wearing fine clothes and a gold chain was the boy they had sold as a slave so many years before. What should he do? Joseph wanted to forgive them, but he needed to know if they felt sorry for what they had done to him. He decided to test them. "Where are you from?" he asked in a rude voice. "We come from the land of Canaan," Reuben said, "to buy grain." "I don't believe you," Joseph snapped. "You're all spies. Come to Egypt to find out where our country is weak so that you can attack us." "No, no," the brothers said. "We're honest men." Reuben spoke up. "We're all from the same family. We have wives and children and a father and a younger brother back in Canaan. They are waiting for us to bring grain because we are starving." When he heard them mention his father and brother, Joseph almost wept. His heart ached to see them. He had an idea. "Well," he said, "if you are honest men, you will do as I order. One of you must stay here, and the others can take the grain back to your families. You must bring your youngest brother to me. Then I'll know you're telling the truth. If you don't return with him, I will kill the man you leave here." So Simeon was tied up and taken away. The 9 others started on their way back to Canaan. The brothers return. When Jacob heard the story, he shook his head. "No, I won't let you take Benjamin to Egypt. What if something happens to him? I've already lost one son, and I'll die from sorrow if I lose my youngest one." "But," said Judah, "if we don't bring Benjamin to the governor, he will kill Simeon. Let Benjamin go with me. I promise to bring him back safely." Finally, Jacob gave in. "You may all go, but take some gifts along. Perhaps the governor will treat you more kindly. I pray that God all-powerful will be good to you, and that the governor will let Simeon and Benjamin come back home with you." When the brothers reached Joseph's house, they were quickly brought inside. "Here is our brother Benjamin," Judah told Joseph. Joseph was so happy to see his young brother that he wanted to celebrate, but he tried hard not to show it. He told his guards to let Simeon out of jail. "You have proven your honesty," Joseph said to his brothers. "Please, be my guests at dinner tonight." Joseph put his brothers at the table in front of his own table. They were amazed to see that they were seated in order of their ages, the oldest to the youngest. How did the governor know? They were served food from Joseph's table, and Benjamin was given 5 times as much as the others. The silver cup. Joseph was ready to move on to the last part of his plan. He told his servants, "Fill the men's grain sacks, and put my silver cup in the sack of the youngest brother." The brothers left the next morning with the sacks of grain tied onto their donkeys. They had not gone far when one of Joseph's men came riding up on a chariot. He accused them of stealing the cup. "We haven't stolen anything. We are not thieves," Reuben said. "Look in our sacks. If you find that one of us has the cup, then kill him. The rest of us will become your slaves." The man opened the sacks one at a time, leaving Benjamin's for last. When he pulled out the silver cup, the brothers were overcome with sorrow. Why was this happening to them? Could it be that God was punishing them for what they had did to their brother Joseph all those years ago? Sadly, they turned around and headed back to the governor's house. A joyful reunion. Joseph looked at his brothers, bowing down to him. This is just what he had dreamed when he was a boy. Judah said, Sir, we don't know how this happened. How can we say we are innocent? God has shown us we are guilty, and now we are your slaves. Joseph said, I would never punish all of you. Only the one who had the cup will stay here as my slave. The rest of you are free to go home to your father. Judah put his hand on Benjamin's shoulder. Please, no, he said. Our father loves Benjamin so much that he will die of sorrow if we don't bring him back with us. Let me stay and be your slave instead. Joseph could no longer pretend. He knew now that his brothers had changed and had become good men. He sent his servants out of the room and turned to his family. I am your brother Joseph, he said, his eyes filled with tears, the one you sold and sent to Egypt. Now his brothers were really afraid, but Joseph comforted them. Don't worry or blame yourselves for what you did. God is the one who sent me ahead of you to save lives. Joseph told his brothers to go back to Canaan and bring their father and all their families and animals to Egypt. Then he waited. The days and weeks went by, and every day Joseph prayed and thanked God for his good fortune, and now his whole family would be together. One morning he heard the sound of many voices in the distance. A crowd of 70 people was coming toward him. His family. He ran to greet them. The first person he saw was the one he had missed most of all, Jacob, his father. He hugged him around his neck and cried for a long time. Jacob was crying too. "Oh, my son," he said, "now that I have seen you, there is nothing more I want for the rest of my life." And so Jacob's family came to live in Egypt and the land of Goshen. So the little think about it says, in spite of all the terrible things that happened to him, why was Joseph able to forgive his brothers? And why didn't Joseph feel angry with God? Do you think God guides your life in the same way? So if you would like to respond, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. But even if you don't, I want you to think about it. In spite of all these terrible things that seem to be going on, why was Joseph able to forgive? Does that give us a message to ourselves that even if someone has done us wrong, that we should still forgive them? Do you think God guides your life in the same way?